As was introduced in our video, the theme for session 2 is digital-based sustainable finance and scientific technology management plan. And yet another timely subject to be discussed with our panelists, and this will be thanks to the leadership of Ms. Dina Filage, former senior specialist at the World Bank, who is in fact joining us in person today. So it is indeed an honor for me to welcome her on stage. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her with an extra big round of applause.
Thank you very much. So today we have a very exciting and engaging topic to be discussed. I think for those of you who were aware of the UN General Assembly, President Moon and BTS really featured this digital technology and how important it is in this era of COVID. So today we're going to hear from two presenters, a KSP 2019-20 from Ghana, 2020-21 from Egypt. We will also be joined by two expert discussants. So without further ado, let's catch up on time and move to presentation 1 from Edward Abrakwa from Ghana, team head.
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity to present during this 2021 Knowledge Sharing Program regional seminar with Africa. First of all, let me thank the government of Korea and KDI for the opportunity to present. What informed this need for this project? Well, from the point of view of the ministry, if you clearly look at the chart on the right-hand side of the presentation, what we've seen is that we've seen over the years that GDP has been growing constantly at an average of about 6% for the last 15 years. Obviously, for 2020, 2021, we know the effect of the global pandemic actually kind of pushed a lot of global economies into recession. But even in the case of Ghana, we did not record a recession. We actually recorded a positive growth, albeit very small. So there's the backdrop to this whole idea is that over the years, we've seen strong economic growth in Ghana, but this strong economic growth has not translated into strong domestic revenue mobilization and experiences. So the idea was that we want to move our tax effort, which is essentially the tax to GDP ratio, from 14.3% in 2019, which is compared to other sub-Saharan African countries where basically about 4 percentage points below the average for sub-Saharan Africa, which tells us that Ghana is not doing something right in terms of domestic revenue mobilization. And what we want to do is that we have a medium-term target of growing our tax to GDP ratio or improving our tax effort from 14.3% of GDP in 2019 to 20% in the medium term, so essentially over a 4-year period. So what we then did was we approached KDI through the KSP project and said that, look, we want to see what we can do, especially in the area of looking at how we leverage technology to improve policy formulation and also to improve revenue mobilization in Ghana. So this is basically the story. The story is very simple. Ghana has not been doing very well in terms of domestic revenue mobilization compared to the trajectory of economic growth that we've been experiencing over the last 10, 15 years. So the idea was to learn from Korea and to also get some kind of policy recommendations out of this KSP project to be able to improve domestic revenue mobilization. So what were the key policy issues and the practical steps? So how I've designed the research and the presentation is to basically look at the key topical areas and then look at what government has done as a result of the research, the KSP engagement, the findings, and therefore what we've done in response to the findings that the paper gave us. So the first one was to look at policy for inclusive growth. So what we've done is, from the government point of view, as a response to the research, we've made some changes to our old existing system within the GRA. So the GRA used to issue tax, what we call TIN numbers or tax identification numbers, to all Ghanaian citizens. And what we realized over time was that we realized that this was becoming increasingly very challenging for the GRA to administer, because we were having challenges outside the big cities to actually issue these tax identification numbers, not just issue them, but issue them on time, and actually be able to sort of connect these various offices across the various parts of the country. So what we then did was, in response to the policy recommendation that we need to have a solid national identification system where everybody contributes their quota towards improving revenue mobilization, the government, through the Ministry of Finance and GRA, decided that we're now going to actually merge the tax identification number system with our national identification system, which is actually a biometric national identification system, and use the biometric system number, which is a unique card number, as our tax identifier number, and basically more or less do away with the existing tax identification number, the TIN number that the GRA had instituted earlier. We believe that this policy measure is adequate in terms of being able to create a system where we can identify every potential taxpayer in Ghana. The other recommendation under subtopic 1 was to kind of institutionalize the process of in-depth tax analysis in the area of tax expenditure. So what the government has been doing already, even though the study did make some recommendations, is that we already have a clear policy by law to actually report all tax expenditure estimations for each budget year in the national budget. So we have that already. What we want to do as a result of this recommendation is to take it further by making sure that we actually put tax expenditure as a centerpiece of the Ministry of Finance's revenue mobilization policy, medium-term revenue mobilization policy and strategies, to help us kind of incorporate the recommendations that we have under this particular area to basically bring about a broadening or improving the cover of the full tax assessment, tax expenditure within Ghana. So there are aspects of how we actually administer tax expenditure in Ghana that we think may not be consistent with each other. So what we're trying to do is to bring this under the umbrella of the medium-term domestic revenue policy strategy, and then actually use that to reiterate the process and make it more holistic. The third recommendation, which is economic development and tax policy on real estate, we have, in response to this, again, the report looks at the need to really target the real estate sector to generate revenue, which is actually very true, because very little is being collected by way of taxes from the real estate sector. So in the 2021 budget, the government basically signals its commitment to take on this challenge by not only providing funding to improve the cadastral and property registration systems, but to also request GRA now, because under the current system, property taxes are collected by the local authorities, and property taxes are not actually collected by the central government. But we realize that most of the local authorities are inhibited in terms of capacity to actually administer their property tax systems. So in the 2021 budget, there was a concerted effort by government through the Ministry of Finance to instruct GRA to support local authorities to improve the collection of property taxes in Ghana. So these are the key policy issues that came under subtopic 1. Under subtopic 2, we talk about tax administration reforms or better service delivery to taxpayers. And here the focus is on what we can do to improve the tax-paying experience of most of our taxpayers. And again, we're going to just look at the key policy issues and the steps that government has taken since the study to actually enhance this experience for our taxpayers. So the first one is on enhancement of convenience, the convenience to pay taxes. So basically what we've seen is that the Ghana Revenue Authority has embarked on an expensive but also very extensive drive to digitize its system and to basically transform the GRA to a world-class revenue administration. So even within the GRA itself, 2021 was declared as the year of digitization. And so the authority has taken very definitive steps to actually improve its digital tax processes to allow taxpayers to actually now file their taxes electronically and pay their taxes electronically through the GRA website. The second point is the reduction of cash transactions. Again, it's consistent with the above point. Very effective and very clear steps have been taken. Effective 1st of July 2021, the GRA has decided to go fully cashless and basically transferred all domestic taxpayer responsibilities to the platform called the Ghana.gov platform, where most of the banks in Ghana, about 22 of them, have signed up so that it allows for easy transactions between taxpayers and the GRA. So let's say if you have a bank account in any of the banks, you can just upload your bank details and then actually effect payments to the GRA if you're an individual or if you're a business concern. The third one is strengthening of data security. We think that this is one of the areas where, since the study, we've not made a lot of progress on in terms of efforts to ensure that we have a very robust system which secures data that people will be using online. And we think that even though we've not made a lot of progress, this is also very important because the whole thing about going electronic is based on security. So we are pushing GRA to take the security of the electronic systems that they are putting in place very seriously. We've seen a lot of countries actually experience a lot of hacks and all that sort of thing. And we think that this is an area that we need to possibly improve on. And I think this could be one of the areas where we can possibly work with KDI and the other partners to see how best we can actually improve the security aspect of GRA's electronic systems that it's being rolled out. So in terms of subtopic 3, which focuses specifically on one of our major tax handles, which is the VAT or the value-added tax system in Ghana. Again, we've actually gone through certain changes since the study, the KSP 2019-2020 took place. The first one is establishing an online platform for VAT registration. These were some of the recommendations that came through from that process. The above considered VAT proposal is being actually considered under a broader raft of policy measures by the Ghana Revenue Authority in terms of reviewing our entire VAT system. So the GRA, as we speak now, has specifically appointed an assistant commissioner for VAT, just specifically so that that commissioner is going to collate and coordinate all the VAT reforms. What we don't want to do is we don't want to embark on a piecemeal approach to revamping our VAT system. So almost all the recommendations under the VAT system, which includes the taxation across borders around electronic services, and then also using of the Fed system, especially the taxation across borders and the first one, online platform, it's part of a comprehensive VAT proposal that is being considered currently by the Ghana Revenue Authority to execute to comprehensively reform our VAT system. And we're glad to say that some of these reforms were informed by the findings of the KSP research that we undertook with the Republic of Korea. The last part, which is the consideration to introduce an electronic, what we call an FED, fiscal electronic device. Basically, we were trying to introduce a fiscal electronic device similar to that of these small electronic payment systems to give us real-time transaction information around all goods and services transactions in the country which are VATable. We have passed the Fiscal Electronic Device Act 966. It is currently awaiting full implementation, and this again forms part of the broader VAT reforms that we want to introduce in Ghana through the Ghana Revenue Authority. So basically, we just jump onto the fourth part, which is the omnibus of most of the research work that we've done. Basically, what we're trying to do is to come up with a strategy, an ICT strategy to basically transform GRA and create an e-tax administration system that is responsive and that is fitting of the 21st century operations of a tax administration authority like the Ghana Revenue Authority. So here, the focus was more on basically looking at how do we actually take our tax administration to the next level through digitization. The first one of the first key policy recommendations was to push for the building of an integrated database, which is more secured and is very robust in terms of having tax data and also having quality tax data as well. Not just the data, but the data must be of use to both the tax administration and also to policy formulation. What we've done is that we've moved this recommendation to the next level where we are considering embarking on. We have started an ODA with KOICA and the Korean Institute for Public Finance to actually develop a master plan to modernize the tax administration in Ghana. So this part of the research has kind of transitioned into an ODA with the Republic of Korea to help us do that. And more or less, most of the recommendations under this policy, under this policy research component, is being taken up by the KOICA and the Korean Institute for Public Finance to actually help us go through it. So the second aspect of it, which is capturing and analyzing business transactions data through activation of electronic transactions, etc. Again, this is going to be captured in the ODA. So we're taking the recommendations here on to the next level by pushing forward with this ODA. And the last one, which is integration and strengthening of electronic tax services for taxpayers. Again, this is all going to be part of the attempts to develop a master plan to modernize our tax administration in Ghana under the ODA project. So basically, these were the broad subtopical areas that form the building blocks for the 2019-2020 KSP program that the Republic of Ghana had with the Republic of Korea. So what have we learned from the 2019-2020 KSP project? Well, as we can see from the updates that are provided in terms of the recommendations from each of the subtopical areas and what government has done, we've seen that government took the KSP project very seriously and made a lot of policy changes and tax administration changes to the existing system. But beyond these developments, what did we get from the KSP 2019-2020? I think we got certain additional kind of benefits. One of them includes the aspect that it really signaled government's intention to review our entire Ghanaian tax system to make it more efficient, make it more equitable, and to improve our capacity to raise the requisite revenue to support the socioeconomic development of the country. So what came to light from the 2019-2020 KSP project was that we did see that certainly, not that we needed reminding, but at least we got tangible evidence to do with where the challenges are in relation to the Ghanaian tax system as a whole, and therefore the need to actually push government to actually embark on more robust and also more concerted efforts to actually change our tax system. The second part of some of the benefits or the lessons that we've learned is that following on from the KSP 2019-2020, we decided that we're going to also engage a consultant firm, KPMG, to basically help the government of Ghana to also develop a clear policy guide, which we call the medium-term domestic revenue mobilization policy and strategies, to help guide our processes that we are going to embark as we go forward. What we don't want is we don't want to basically be kind of in pursuing piecemeal policy measures. What we want is we want to have a clear and consistent guide to tax policy formulation and tax administration measures, and then pursue them over the medium term. Of course, with the KSP study and policy recommendations forming key strategy planks in this document itself. And also what we saw was that the 2019-2020 again drew the Ghana Revenue Authority's attention to the need to pay attention to the deployment of ICT as one of the key planks to again support its operation. So like I said earlier, I was privy to attend the Ghana Revenue Authority strategic board meeting for 2021, and during that board meeting, it was clear the GRA signaled its continued commitment to leveraging technology by declaring 2021 as the digitization and compliance for effective tax mobilization year. And this was basically the key strategic focus for GRA. So to wrap up the presentation, what do I think are the challenges and the potential opportunities for cooperation going forward? Well, the challenges were that, unfortunately, just as we started rolling out some of these measures, COVID-19 actually basically took root in 2020, and that kind of halted some of the progress that we were actually actively gaining as a result of their measures. So basically, COVID-19 kind of slowed down not just the economy, but our ability to kind of actually deploy some of these solutions. In terms of the opportunities going forward, we believe that we've seen a structural change in Ghana's economy over the years, from being a predominantly agrarian economy to now being a mainly services-driven economy. And therefore, we see that the Ghana Revenue Authority is struggling to actually also kind of turn around its focus to basically zoom in on services to help the government generate enough revenue. So we think again that there is scope for us to maybe look into more or less the impact of COVID on the government in terms of the revenue side, and also how we can actually transition to refocus revenue mobilization as the economy has structurally changed from that agrarian economic setting to a services economic setting. So this really brings us to the end of the presentation, and thank you very much for your attention.
Edward, thank you very much. I think we will hear more from Dr. Hong, who will speak more directly to the content of the KSP. But what I wanted to pull out from your comment, Edward, not only is there 22 minutes of golden knowledge nuggets, and each one could be dove into and spent days and hours upon, but I think one thing you really mentioned is about the partnership that KSP brings to each of the countries. It's the partnership that you form and the camaraderie that you form with the government and with its partners, KDI, COTRA, and KXM, that helps build this knowledge to be able to share and to learn from each other. So let's now move to the second presentation. Dr. Hisham Eldib will give you this presentation. Thank you.
About the project of Science Technology Park for Electronics Research Industry, STEP ERI, the strategic plan for STEP ERI for Egypt, which is a cooperation between Korean government and Egypt government. Next, please. The STEP ERI is aimed to be the first science park in Egypt in electronics industry and one of the unique specialized science parks in Africa and MENA regions that addresses the local and regional market needs. Next, please. The current challenges for STEP ERI is for proper utilization of governmental investment. STEP ERI is over than 500 million Egyptian pound. A professional operational strategy should be settled soon by experts in the field of science parks established with universities, research institutes. Second, the financial support as well as technological transfer is now too much needed to be able to put short, mid, and long-term plan of operation and ensure impact of investment. We do this cooperation with the Korean government represented by KSB Knowledge Sharing Program. Next, please. The KSB supports to establish a phased development strategy plan of STEP ERI and propose plan to establish Egypt's industrial technology university to lay the foundation of our innovation, foster the electronics industry, and promote digital economy. These have three pairs. One of the first one is the capabilities, diagnosis, and evaluation for establishment the operating strategy plan for STEP ERI. Second, sustainable framework and function design for STEP ERI. Third, phased operating strategy plan for STEP ERI. How we can manage project like this is done by KSB with Egypt. We have project planning and management done by KDI, project implementation done by QIV, and project consultations done by both teams in Korea experts and Egyptian experts. Next, please. Let's see now the results and outcomes of KSB. Case study, snapshots of STEP models in Korea. Let's take the successful models, which is triple helix. Working three together, government, university, and market. This is industry. This is the three must interact together to have successful model in this case. Next, please. The suggested policies and strategies. Capability diagnosis and evaluation for strategic planning for STEP ERI. The beginning by market. The market, it begins with the needs, technology transfer, startup, fund, coming from the market, it needs the talent. The talent have internal and external development motivation. And sure, the tools of technology is very important with the R&D patent papers. So again, talent with advanced university, highly motivated peoples, market with local market development and business, network for industry academia, technology for competitive commercialization for all of this. Next, please. So results and outcomes of KSB, suggested policies and strategies, the design of sustainable structure and functions for STEP ERI. This commercialization framework centered by STEP ERI is included the universities, the companies inside or outside STEP ERI, is all make interaction with ERI, which is Electronic Research Institute, with conduct of STEP ERI. The R&D collaborations coming from ERI and STEP ERI, startup incubation, consulting, and training coming with universities, and connecting with companies to have the consulting and the training and the commercialization. The cooperation in research and development need the government to work in framework with ERI and universities, with STEP ERI in technology transfer and supply of talent, workforce created for high technologies. All of this is working together to have also commercializations for this innovation. Next, please. Establishment of STEP ERI development strategy. Phased plans. We have 3 terms. First is short-term strategies, and this is from 1 to 3 years. Mid-term strategies, and this is until 15 years, from 3 to 15 years. Long-term strategies, and this is up to 30 years. All of this is concept of university. The concept of university is have undergraduate for 2 years of normal course plus 2 years of internship in companies that's connected to STEP ERI. Graduate students, which will have 3 years for PhD, 2 years for master, and this will be lead for the technology university, high technology university in Egypt. Impact of KSB for this project. Enhanced capacity of decision makers or policy. Return to the so enhanced capacity of the decision makers or policy participant. Attend several meetings, launching seminar, midterm report, policy workshop, technology transfer, and discussions in all of these activities. The tangible result due to change of policies and system. The final results will be adapted in the final reporting workshop and will be transferred to decision makers in order to take tangible changes. Lessons learned from KSB. Technology transfer and the capacity building for 14 team members in working in ERI. The team more ready to work in the STEP ERI. Demand survey illustrates needs for industrial and academia or private sector working together. STEP ERI can tackle these requirements. Next, please. Captured or expected outcome after the KSB. Number 1, completion and formal adaptation for the STEP ERI organizational structure at the beginning of July 2020. Number 2, building STEP ERI framework, regulations, and procedures with 1 year. Number 3, achieving STEP ERI performance indicators according to the schedule adapted, and it can work annually to be the performance indicator for STEP ERI president. Number 4, attracting at least 5 knowledge-based companies to STEP ERI with financial incentives. Next, please. Okay, future expectation after 2021, KSB with Egypt. Number 1, put each phase detailed SMART goals. Specify the short-term pillars of practically. Collect a pool of projects related to the specific pillars. Set the priority of the approved projects. Finalize the STEP ERI organization chart and minimum required resources. Finalize STEP ERI work regulations. Build the framework that helps to achieve the expected goals to secure both observability and controllability of the system. Give more attention to marketing. Seek the decision maker support. A clear key performance indicator scheme for the different journey. Detailed HR and for management with expert of Korean team experience. STEP ERI should have its own identify authority matrix. Guide STEP ERI to get more commercialization. Next, please. Future cooperation MOU with Korean Innovation Foundation. KGI and the Implementation Agency, Egypt engage the following cooperation program with Korean Innovation Foundation. This is the MOU already signed with the Korean Innovation Foundations, and this cooperation program aims to establish a cooperation framework that will facilitate knowledge exchange and linkage between the innovation sector and Innopolis and the STEP ERI. This framework is based on the 2021 Knowledge Sharing Program, KSP, with the Arab Republic of Egypt, STEP ERI strategy plan, and the intent to implement the strategic results in this report for implementation future expectation of STEP ERI practically. KSB aims to governance-based macro policy consultancy program. And you can find here some photo from the virtual MOU signing ceremony. Next, please. Thank you very much. And I wanted to say this is a very successful project. We all working together, enjoy the results, and we hope to continue together for this future together. Thanks a lot.
Dr. Elbib, thank you very much. I mentioned that although I'm not, I don't have company on the platform, I do have all of my gentlemen joining us online, and I thank all of you who continue to stick with us online, because now we will turn to our discussion, and we will first hear from Dr. Bong Kwo-hong, Director of the Korea Institute for Public Finance, KIPF. Dr. Hong, we look forward to hearing your feedback.
Thank you. Good evening and good morning in Africa. Thank you for inviting me for this KSP regional seminar. I appreciate Mr. Abukar's efforts to make a well-organized, nice presentation material. And also I'm glad to hear that many of our policy suggestions have been adopted by the Ghanaian government. First, the Ghanaian government has unified the various identification numbers. The GRA now requires all citizens to use the biometric national identification card as their unique TIN. It may seem small, but actually it is a big step in tax administration. In the past, one person could have several different TINs, while there were persons who did not have any TIN. It is very important for all citizens to have a unique TIN for an efficient tax collection. So it is a big step in the right direction, I think. And I'm also happy to hear that the government is planning to implement full assessment of the tax expenditure system in Ghana. I want to remind you of the importance of well-trained staff and data availability for in-depth analysis of tax expenditure. To assess the validity and effectiveness of tax expenditure, you have to have data and competent analysts. Accumulating tax data is one thing, and making it available for analysis is another. The tax data, because the tax data are mostly personal information, and that makes it difficult to be used, even for the purpose of public interest. You had better be patient to use tax data for the in-depth analysis of tax expenditure. And efforts to reduce cash transactions are worth trying, though it will also take time. As we have suggested in our report, the income deduction for amounts spent on credit and debit cards, the card receipt lottery, and the cash receipt system are useful policy tools to reduce cash transactions. But Ghana may try these tools in a gradual manner because it takes time to build technology infrastructure. You need also some enhanced sense of civic responsibilities. When I visited Ghana, I saw a lot of street vendors. Certainly, they are not ready to issue cash receipt. So it also will take time. The follow project he suggests includes ambitious plans to digitize the Ghanaian tax administration. It is certainly a right direction for the modernization of tax administration and higher domestic resource mobilization. As ICT develops, it is natural to plan to incorporate this technology in tax administration for efficiency. But e-tax administration alone does not guarantee higher domestic revenue mobilization. Economic and social policies that increase per capita GDP, that enhance education level, sense of citizenship, social transparency must go hand in hand with any reform in tax administration. When I visited Ghana in 2020, by chance, I dropped by the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park and Mausoleum. It was interesting to me to learn the history of Ghana and find out the similarity of leadership between the two countries at the time of their independence and earlier period of the Republic. The first president of each country fought for the independence of his country before becoming a president. They were educated in the Western countries and earned their doctorate degrees. But they ended up with dictatorship. They lost power by military coup and revolution, respectively. They lived in exile and never returned to their country. And they passed away in a foreign land. Now it is 76 years since Korea's independence. During that period, Korea has achieved huge economic development and become an advanced democratic country. I have no doubt that Ghana can also achieve what we have achieved through effective tax policy and tax administration reforms. Thank you very much for your attention.
Dr. Hong, thank you very much. We appreciate that history lesson, also to be reminding us of the miracle on the Han and to know that we can share that knowledge with others. So now to our discussant number 2, Dr. Chong-In Choi, Vice President of Hanbat National University. We look forward to hearing your feedback.
Okay, thank you, Dina. And I'm so happy to participated in the great project for SDP ERI in Egypt, and also participated in the regional seminar with Africa. And for the successful the science and technology part, we need to think about the three kinds of the T. The first T is technology and unique technology. The second one is the talent, highly motivated talent. Number three is a very tightly close relation and industry, university, and other government side. These three kinds of the T, I coined the ink models for the clear explanations. For instance, I bring this one. This is ink, idea, needs, and capabilities. So Dr. Hissam mentioned about that he trying to the local customers surveys. I think that is a very important one. We need find the customer's needs and the industry side. And also we need to find the capabilities like the patent and technology and R&D performance and something like that. And also finally, we need to make the unique ideas, the product or programs and something like that. So using the three kinds of the ink, we can make business models. So as you know, the meaning of the business model, it is very simply and how to make, how to selling, and then how to make money. So it is very important for the business model. And finally, we need to think about the implementations. So Dr. Hissam mentioned that he planning for the successful science and technology park ERI. It's time to implement by the leadership and the communication and also the different kind of the resources. So this project, we KSP teams analyze the three kinds of the Korean cases and Daedoginopolis and Technopark and other Center for Creative Economy Development. So using the three kinds of the ways, we suggested the different kind of the important factors for the SDP programs. So finally, I want to suggest for this successful SDP ERI, we need to think about the 5 factors. For instance, like the university and research capacities. And second one is the close collaboration between industry, university, research centers, and the ERI. And third one is incubation and the growth support. And next one is we need to think about the technology to market. I call the TPM connections, technology product and market connections. Finally, we need to think about the highly motivated people. And the most important one for the science and technology park. And you need to think about this project is keeping on for the successful story. And thank you very much, and shukran.
Thank you so much, Dr. Choi. I think you need to market your INC. And so I think everyone who's participating here and online should be able to get that graphic. That's a very nice reminder. So we do have time because we are a well-oiled machine in session 2. Let's begin with a question, and we do have one that has come in from online. So I will read. I think the question is, I think bringing informal, unregulated private sectors into the system must be very challenging, and resistance is expected. And this is to Edward in Ghana. How did you tackle the issue and bring various stakeholders on board? And of course, stakeholders, without them, there is no project. So we're interested to hear what you might say about that, Edward.
Thank you very much. I have to first of all quickly apologize. I'm actually on the road now, going to meet with the parliamentarians and the finance committee of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. So I've had to park the car and then actually join in. So in terms of actually what we are trying to do to bring in various players in the private sector to the tax net. Currently, what we've been trying to do over the years is to also embark on a special project called Income Tax Revenue Enhancement Project, which essentially targets, we've started with professionals first, because what we've realized is that in Ghana, most of our professionals actually do not pay income tax. So for instance, the lawyers, the accountants, the surveyors, and most of these transactions tend to happen more or less based on cash basis. So we have clear strategies to actually target them through the use of the new national identification system, and also to essentially more or less work with their various national bodies. For instance, the lawyers have an association, the accountants have associations, and what we're trying to do is to leverage those bodies to actually access information around them, and then thereby actually put some levies or serve them with some levies to actually improve revenue mobilization from some of these private sector areas. Thank you very much.
Edward, thank you, and thank you for taking the time while you're in transit. Did you have anything that you wanted to add, Dr. Hong? Okay, so let's move to the second question, and Dr. Al-Deeb, I would like to direct this to you. What is the most urgent issue for digitization of the country, of course focused on science and technology? What do you think are some of the most important issues you're facing?
Thank you very much for a very successful session. Science Technology Park really is the way of research centers and universities to move from just research for research to be research for better economic. And in our case, we have done awareness and disseminations for our team in the Electronic Research Institutes as one of the research centers in the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research. We wanted to change the mind that we just do a paper and the patents and keep it in our shelves. We wanted to move, this must be moved to be a product with the cooperation with industry and make it commercializations. And this will get impact for the researcher himself, for the electronic research institutes and the research centers, universities, and for the country itself. So I think by this way, we will move to better research dependent on the needs for the society and the products come from with the industry to be made in Egypt. And this is all done by the help of policy makers here in Egypt and with cooperations with Korean experts during these projects. I began this story from 2016 when I began in Korea, take the course about what is the innovations, science technology parks, incubators programs. And from this day, I tried to cooperate with Korean partners, KSB and KDI, Innopolis. And successfully, we have these projects which put the policy for this strategy for this step ERI, and I hope we will complete together with the signed MOU with Korea Innovation Organization, and this is our way to move from research to research to be a product and impact to the national economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dr. Choi, did you have anything that you wanted to add? I see you nodding your head, so maybe you want to also elaborate on that.
Yes, and Ms. Dina mentioned the partnership. You mentioned that. I think it is a very important one based on the trust. So during the times, we have many collaboration between and the Dedoginopolis and my university and the ERI. So the next one is we need have the shared visions between the STP ERI and the Science and Technology Park and the Dedoginopolis. So trust and the partnership and the shared visions. And we will make effort to collaborate. So I'm so very happy to visit again and the next time. So we will collaborate one another. Thank you very much. Shukran.
Thank you very much. So in conclusion, Edward, I'd like to give you 1 minute to wrap up your comments and your thoughts. And I know you've given very elaborate conclusions, but one thing I would just ask if you could give one takeaway for our audience to be able to think about.
All right, thank you very much, Dina. What I would want to sort of say is that it is very clear from the point of view of most developing countries, especially a country like Ghana, the whole COVID intervention has created both a threat to our economies, but also immense opportunities. And it's interesting that Egypt project is about science and technology, but essentially what we have seen clearly is that there is scope now for most developing countries to fast track development by essentially enhancing more our ability to tap into the knowledge within the science and technology space. And so from the point of view of the Ministry of Finance and then the Ghana Revenue Authority, the idea is to now move further ahead by tapping into ICT as a means to improve our ability to improve compliance in terms of tax payment, to make it easier for taxpayers to actually access our tax systems, and then also to ensure that the fair amount that is required in terms of tax revenue is actually generated in our country. So we see both COVID, the intervention of COVID, as both a blessing and in a way, because it's now giving us the full kind of focus to actually further enhance our ability to leverage technology. And it's in this spirit that we've actually sort of moved on to develop an ODA from the project to specifically help GRA develop a comprehensive ICT strategy to address this issue. Kamsa Hamida.
Excellent. Dr. Eldib, please, one wrap-up session to comment for you.
Yes, I think we can repeat this successful project with the help of KSB and the Innopolis Innovation Organization, also with other African countries. So it can be cooperation between African countries and with the help of experts of Korean friends. And this will maximize the benefits of this similar projects, and also create a cooperation directly between African countries with the help of experts of Korean experts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Hong, one last final word from you.
As you mentioned that the partnership is very important. I wish we can continue our cooperation between Ghana and Korea. Not only Ghana, but many African countries. We want to continue our cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Choi, not last but least, here we go. What's your words of wisdom?
Yes, I already mentioned that this matter and ink. So yes, we need to think about the customers and the companies' needs, and we can develop the new technologies. And also we need to develop the absorptive capacities. I think African countries have a highly potential capacities. So we need transform the realized potential, absorptive capacities. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you very much again. I think you deserve a round of applause. And also, I thank everybody for joining online, and I especially thank our organizers for having this session. And although it may seem a little bit disparage, if you don't have taxes, you have no science and technology. So it's called cross-fertilization, and I commend you for rolling up your sleeves, keeping your hand to the plow, and let's continue, because it will take us all to work together to solve these big issues. So thank you again.
Well, thank you once again, Ms. Dina Village, for the great moderation, and I must say, perfect timekeeping management as well. So thank you very much.